All right. I'm assuming everybody can see my screen. All right. So I'd like to welcome everyone to the October chapter meeting entitled Owning Your EHS Career. So this afternoon, we will be featuring a group of exceptional panelists who will be talking about ways in which they went through their different career paths. We have a pretty diverse panel that will have someone from construction, also somebody from transportation, and also someone from federal contracting side and manufacturing. So, just a couple things that I want to go over. And hold on just a second. All right. Sorry about that. So just a couple things I want to go over. This meeting is brought to you by our sponsor, Hygieneering, which specializes in environmental health and safety consulting, testing, and training, in addition to emergency response and industrial hygiene. So if you are interested in getting some of those services, feel free to contact them. You could also check out their website at hygieneering.com. A couple of housekeeping rules. For the most part, everyone will stay muted. We will have a time slot in which you can ask questions. Feel free to also post the questions in the chat as well, and we will try to get to them as quick as possible. So here's the agenda. Again, we'll be taking questions from the audience, and then if you're curious about any upcoming events or anything that the ASSP Chicago chapter is doing, feel free to check out our website. There's also a resource link as well that you guys probably already know about that ASSP has set up for COVID-19. You can also follow us on our social media accounts. So we have a LinkedIn, a Facebook, a Twitter, Instagram, everything but TikTok. So feel free to go follow us on one of those social media accounts. We're always posting new information and the information that will include the next chapter events. All right, so my name is Josh Asiadu, and again, this is taking charge of your EHS career. So today I will be the moderator. Currently, I serve in a position as the chapter president. I also have a full-time job at S&C Electric, working in the Global Health, Safety, and Environmental Department. And I also have a consultant firm outside of here called Leverage EHS. But less about me, more about the panelists. So the first panelist that I want to introduce is Brittany Felon. Am I saying your name right, Brittany?
Yeah, close enough.
Okay. Right. So Brittany works as a safety director at Alltech Decorating, which is a commercial painting contractor in the Chicagoland area. She started her career at Alltech Decorating as an intern before graduating from NIU with a degree in public health and an emphasis on EHS. She holds different certifications, meaning, the CSP, the ARM, the Associate in Risk Management, and then also a Construction Risk Insurance Specialist as well. She currently serves as the ASSP NIL Chapter Past President and Delegate, and is currently serving as a board member for the Chicago Safety Conference. In addition to that, she also serves as a board member for the Associate Subcontractors and Affiliates. Our next panelist is Todd Cabanor. All right. He has 18 years in the EHS industry. He has worked as an environmental consultant in mergers and acquisitions in the field. And then he also has dealt with environmental compliance, with the Regional Transportation District in Denver, Colorado for 3 years. His previous 8 years were with Metra Railroad in Chicago, and he currently serves as the Senior Director for Environmental Compliance, Safety, and Industrial Hygiene. He holds a Bachelor of Science from SIU and a Master's from the University of Colorado. He is licensed to be an asbestos inspector, management planner, abatement supervisor, license-led paint risk assessor, and a certified transit safety director with the World Safety Organization. And then last but not least, we have Adam Cox. He currently works as an EHS engineer with Northrop Grumman. He holds a bachelor's degree in microbiology from the University of Minnesota and a Master of Public Health from UIC. He has experience in laboratory safety and manufacturing, and also has served in industrial hygiene roles. Currently, Adam also serves as a liaison between AIHA and the NIOSH Total Worker Health Center of Excellence at UIC's School of Public Health. So I want to welcome all of our panelists. So you can give a virtual round of applause. Feel free to use emojis on the chat box. All right, so first question that I want to start off with, and I'm going to send this to Brittany. If you were to describe using only one word your journey as an EHS professional, what would it be?
I would say interesting. Every day is like a new exciting adventure in construction because of the people and because of the atmosphere, and it's constantly changing. And then the people specifically, their personalities are so all over the board, and you deal with a lot of people who aren't used to working in a professional environment. They're not politically correct, things like that. So I would definitely describe it as interesting. And then the job itself is just, like I said, always changing, and yeah.
Okay. Todd, I'm going to you.
Sure. I would kind of piggyback off of hers and say it's kind of flexibility, always being able to be an expert in a multitude of areas at any given time. I know in EH&S, environmental health and safety, that includes industrial hygiene, and on my side, that includes not only OSHA, but also FRA, which is the Federal Railroad. So at any given time, I can answer a call, and I have to be the expert on whatever question that that caller happens to have. And throughout my career, I think that's how I've been successful, is being able to, at any given time be a subject matter expert on something. So you got to stay flexible and have almost be like a jack of all trades to be successful in the EH&S industry.
Okay. Adam, what would you say?
Yeah, so in a similar vein, the word that first came to mind for me was fascinating. It's just, as Brittany said, every day is new and exciting. Being in the manufacturing realm myself, it's really interesting to see how incredibly complex or surprisingly simple processes all come together to deliver a product, whether that's consumer, commercial, government, whatever. I just find the day-to-day changes and learning about new manufacturing techniques, research processes, stuff like that, to be fascinating.
Agreed. So, and either one of you can answer this first. Are there any previous experiences or mentors outside of the safety profession that kind of helped you get to where you are now? And again, I guess we can start with Adam.
Yeah, sure. So outside of the safety profession, when I was actually doing my undergraduate degree at the University of Minnesota, I was fortunate enough to be part of a a leadership cohort of seniors at the University of Minnesota. And a part of that program, we received a mentor in our desired realm of career possibilities. So my mentor actually happens to be one of the leaders of CIDRAP, the Center for Infectious Disease Research and Policy out of University of Minnesota. Lots of great stuff coming from them always, but especially right now with the pandemic. So what my mentor did, she set me up with different types of public health professionals. And one of those was actually an industrial hygienist. So that kind of sparked my interest in this career and this field I had never heard of, occupational safety and industrial hygiene. And then as that senior year went on and I got closer to graduating and figuring out what was next, I ended up applying to graduate school, and lo and behold, industrial hygiene programs popped up, and I applied and really never looked back. But she did kind of set that, or she catalyzed that interest in me. So forever grateful to Jill DeBoer if she ever sees this.
All right. Brittany, what about you? Was there anybody that helped you get to where you are now? Brittany, can you hear me?
Sorry, yeah, my internet froze. Yeah, so I was basically one of like the thousands of students every year that has no idea what they want to do when they're in college. And like the more I progressed in the years, I'm just like, all right, I need to figure this out. And I was in the public health realm, and I had pretty much every major like on my file in that group. And my guidance counselor at the time, she kind of just said, why don't you check out safety? And funny enough, she's like, there's an organization called ASSP or ASSE at the time. And she's like, why don't you just go to this meeting? One of the professors that I had at the time was the leader of that group. And so I was able to go to a meeting and kind of get more involved in it and kind of see what it's all about. And I kind of just stuck with it from there. So that was the big driver, was my guidance counselor. And then after, interning in the field, kind of my mentors in the field really pushed me in that direction as well, because I realized that I really enjoyed it.
Okay. Good. Todd?
Yeah. I would say not so much a mentor, but somebody that kind of spoke and kind of, motivated me to advance in this career was, his name is Phil Washington. He was the CEO of the RTD transit agency in Denver. He ran LA Metro, and then he was on Biden's transition team when he came in for the transportation stuff, and now he runs the Denver airport. But he kind of challenged us, like every year he would give a State of the Union address. And, as a new employee in kind of the safety and environmental field, he said, your job, and he was real big on social activism and, making the world a better place, and just said, what are you going to do with your experience here in Denver? Kind of challenging us to, like, your job is to go out into the rest of the world from what you've learned here, and to kind of take that message and improve the safety, improve it in environmental, improve engineering, whatever your specialty was at the time, and go out and improve it. Because we were just there to build out the light rail system. It wasn't really a permanent job, although most of the jobs did become permanent. So I kind of took that and said, where can I go to kind of use my expertise the most? And this job in Chicago popped up. And I don't know if any of you know legacy railroads, which are basically old railroads, but we were the worst polluters, worst safety people in the world for most of the first century. And now we're doing a little bit better. But I feel like he kind of motivated me to come here and kind of make a positive change. And hopefully that's happened over the last 8 to 10 years that I've been here.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, it seems like we all either have like that one experience or that one person in our lives that kind of really affects us to kind of get in this field. I guess the one thing the audience is probably curious about, we should probably talk about, if you were to provide like a brief description of what you do, a day in the life of you being a safety professional at your company. What would you say? And I'll start with Brittany on this one.
Yeah. So I work in construction safety. So my day they're never cookie cutter. They're always different. So I go to jobs, I do job audits, enforcing safety. And then kind of the other end of it is, all the administrative work, all the paperwork from our jobs daily, writing safety plans, updating our programs, and then definitely involved in a lot of training from all different ends, just because construction is so involved with different things. So lots of training and lots of job blocks.
Okay. Todd, what about you?
What's
a day in the life?
A day in the life is pretty simple: to provide the safest, the safest workplace for the people that work for Metro and the people that use Metro every day, whether that's environmentally, whether that's from the industrial hygiene side or safety, just, making sure that everybody gets home safely the way that they came, and hopefully they learn something that they can take with them home or take to their next day that makes them and their co-workers even safer.
Yeah, you definitely have a very interesting job, Todd, because you have to deal with the Metro employees and you have to deal with the actual public. So
yeah, it's always a challenge to figure out. It's always a balancing act. I feel like everybody on this panel knows that, but you serve not only a boss, but then on our side we serve a boss, we serve our employees, but then we also serve the public. So you toss that third kind of balancing act in, and sometimes it can be challenging, but other times it can be very rewarding. So especially when you're on panels like this and you get to talk about it. So
yeah. Adam, what's a day in the life with you? You have a very interesting company.
Yeah, so no day is really the same. I'd say the only real constant is plugging my laptop into my dock at my desk every morning. That's about it. After that, anything can happen. But, it could be noise monitoring, risk assessments, monitoring for air contaminants, responding to COVID cases, investigating incidents or good observations, leading meetings, participating in the business resumption team, which is incredibly important right now with the pandemic, or simply just responding to emails and catching up from the night before. As an aerospace and defensive electronics manufacturer, and also the R&D that goes behind all of that, we've got a lot of very interesting technologies that we have to kind of work with: lasers, robots, additive manufacturing technologies. So, it's exciting, and kind of like Todd said, every day you're working to make sure our employees go home, as healthy as they got here. And so I've really been trying to tie in a lot of total worker health aspects with all of our safety meetings, tying in what our company policies are, how those are protecting employees, but then giving them examples of how to transfer those requirements to their life at home. So whether that's working out in the yard, heat stress, chemicals at home, all of those items I'm trying to kind of package for our employees, so they do have some working knowledge of how these rules and regulations can actually help them at home. So that's kind of an exciting new thing I've been doing.
Okay. So, like, as safety professionals, we deal with quite a bit, especially this past year, and now somewhat dealing with the pandemic. It's kind of at times, brought the question, why do we continue to, be in this profession, or why are we doing what we do? So I guess a question for all of you, for you in your career, why did you choose safety, and why are you still in the position now. So, and I'll start with Todd on this one.
Why am I still in the field? So I went to school for environmental, so I really cared about, I felt, my passion was to make the world a better place through the environment, do, compliance, do permitting, do NEPA stuff, things like that. And then, as I started to get involved in the industrial hygiene and safety field, I saw that you can make a bigger immediate impact. A lot of the environmental stuff, you can be on a project for, multiple years, decades, and you just, you slowly see like the groundwater improving, air quality improving. But, with safety, I can train a guy in the morning on fall protection, on confined space. I can do a noise assessment and make a immediate impact like that day. And not that it makes myself feel better, but it kind of does. That you're kind of making an immediate impact and you're trying to help that person or your company be safer and have a better quality of life. Now, the next day, they may go back to doing the same thing that you told them not to do or you trained them to do. But I think, on a safety side, and I like being that we're like a cross-functional department. Like we touch every department in the agency. Everybody kind of asks for our assistance or we're impacting every department. And that's kind of unique. Like not every department knows what every other department does. But here in safety and environmental, we kind of know what everybody does. It's kind of nice to have like your fingers on the pulse of all the departments at the same time. So that's kind of why I'm still here, I feel like.
Okay. Brittany, what about you?
Yeah, I'm kind of very similar to Todd. I mean, there's not seems like a whole lot of careers where you get to go to work and you get to make some type of difference that's not draining on yourself. I mean, it's draining, but it's in the long run you're helping other people. So that's the big thing for me is I'm able to make a change somehow, some way, and hopefully people. Our workers may ignore 99% of what I'm saying, but if you get that one person, you're able to change their perspective and, work safe and work healthy for themselves and their families, then it's, all worth it in the end. And then it's, just great for safety professionals to see that.
Absolutely. Adam?
Yeah, I hate to beat a drum, but kind of similar to both Brittany and Todd, I knew I wanted to do something where I was working with people and helping people, and industrial hygiene and occupational safety is really that, at a corporate level on a daily basis. So I genuinely enjoy working with new individuals and learning about new processes, new technologies, finding ways that we can make them safe and keep our employees healthy, whether it's chemical, physical, biological hazards. It's just extremely, as I said with my first answer, fascinating. It just really is.
Okay. So, we all have different backgrounds. We're all working at different companies. And one of the things that we, as a department within EHS, try to focus on, different key indicators. So at your particular companies, what would you say you use as like the key indicators to kind of drive your EHS programs? And basically, kind of what I'm getting at, is it more so near misses? Is it observations? Is it training? Placing a huge focus on training. What are some of the things that you use at your company to drive those key indicators? And I'll start with Adam on this one.
Yeah, so we're a pretty large organization. Company-wide, we're 90,000 employees. So, and my sector is 30,000. So we look at a lot of data. And so, leading indicators are great from a safety perspective. We love those. But there are still some lagging indicators that are helpful, that do help paint that holistic picture of the safety culture. So, we look at everything: ergonomics, training, good observations, near misses, incidents and injuries, inspections. All of our locations are inspected at least on a quarterly basis, if not monthly. And then obviously, from a manufacturing perspective, also daily. But our big goal is actionable data, and what I mean by actionable is kind of something where you can use the data to inform our further actions as an EHS organization. So, for example, if we see a particular trend in our good observation, near miss, or incident data within a particular employee population, a location, or a hazard category, can we use that to inform our communications, our awareness trainings, or any other interventions that we might be doing? And then also as a corporation, sustainability is huge right now. So our big 2020 goal that we worked for 5 years was decreasing greenhouse gas emissions, decreasing water consumption, and increasing our waste diversion. So trying to find ways to recycle. So those are all, those are big sustainability things we've been looking at. And we've got sites going green with solar panels, internal water reclamation and water treatment plants. So those are big, and I think that's where a lot of companies are going to be going in the future, right? With all of these, green initiatives at the federal and state levels. So,
absolutely. Brittany, what about you?
Yeah, so Adam really hit the nail on the head. I mean, it's pretty similar amongst all companies on really focusing on those leading indicators, and obviously your lagging indicators as well. We try to always come up with some solution, post-accident, always fully investigating any incidents that occur so that we can overcome those and make sure they don't happen again. And then just to add as well, I know Adam touched on this, but being a smaller company, we don't have all the resources that the larger companies may have. It's just, I'm the only staffed safety professional. So we really try to get, everybody involved from, our field. So our painters, all of our supervisory staff, our project managers, and really when something happens, try to get everybody's mind going on how can we improve, what can we do better? And then just suggestions in general. So we try to obviously not get to the point where it's a lagging indicator, but, if our field can be open with us and say, we could do better with this, or we could change this, we try to really focus on that to prevent incidents.
Okay. Todd?
Yeah, I mean, to add something or different, I would say for the group that's, we're talking to, college kids and new professionals, I think I've seen the industry go so much more towards like data now, where in the past it was what's our injury ratio at, things, like more hands-on stuff. Now it's like the more predictable data, something like what Adam was talking about. And we collect that stuff too, and we try to figure out what time of day, what demographic, what location, what type of injury, things like that. But I've seen just talking to other people in, like Amazon or Southwest or some other larger companies that people have large teams now. And if you're coming out of school and you don't know how to read data or statistics and things like that, like you're really going to be behind the 8 ball, I think, because that's what a lot of companies are looking for now. How can we use the data that we collect about injuries to help us improve, not just to collect it because we need to do an OSHA 300 log, or we need to do this for our insurance companies, but how can we really use the data that we collect to improve? And that's what we try to do. We don't always do it well, but we do try to do it. And I think if you're coming out of school, you need to know how to use data and how to manipulate it and how to, make it a part of your day-to-day job in the safety and environmental profession, because that's what companies are looking for now. So that's, I know what I'm looking for, so I assume other companies are as well.
Okay. One last question that that I have to everyone is, if you were to give, one piece of advice to someone coming in the EHS field, what would you say? Just one piece of advice.
I would say never turn down work. Always be the person that answers the phone. I tell my people, it's hard to always tell how a safety person is being successful. Are they, meeting their goals, their expectations and all that. I tell my people, if your phone stops ringing and nobody's asking for your help, you're not doing your job. People don't know you, or people don't trust you to give them the correct answer or to help them. So, always be answering a call and never turn down an opportunity to help somebody because they may be looking somewhere else on the next call. So that's one of my piece of advice.
Yeah. Okay. Brittany, if you want to go, you can.
Yeah. My biggest thing is, or I guess my one piece of advice is to be very adaptive to change. I can't even begin to express the amount of times like I've had plans for my days and they totally get, changed around because something happened in the field, something came up, COVID came up and it changed the whole course of the past 2 years. And then being able to overcome that change and not let it affect, how you do your job or how you act as a professional, because it's just, that's the name of the game. You deal with change in standards, in people. So yeah, that's my biggest thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I would also, oh, go ahead.
No, just go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I think I'd also add, being open to growth, both professionally, personally with education or leadership opportunities, whether that's internal within your own organization, or even external through, something like ASSP, AIHA, any local, business organizations that you're a part of. And, just striving to always do more and try your best, I think is really important, because great opportunities rarely fall in someone's lap. It's usually through a connection or an experience that you've shared. So that'd be my advice.
Okay. All right. So I want to thank all of you for participating. That's all of the questions I have, but I do want to open it up to the guests that we have in the audience. So at this time, if anybody has any questions.
Oh, good job. That's interesting.
Okay. Thank you, Jim.
All right. I know we don't have any questions, but I did want to mention that we do, for those interested, have safety internships every year. So if anyone's interested and knows, and we're hiring a lot of people, so if you want to follow me on LinkedIn and stuff, I'm always posting the opportunity for employment and things like that, or just an internship. We're only 4 blocks away from UIC, so you can run back to to your college and come back and go back and forth and learn something. So that's all I have.
Eric, to answer your question, his name is Beetle, and if I look him out, he gets really nervous, and he's usually good, but he jumped in the frame.
I was wondering why you were laughing.
That's a great name. But that's
so we actually he's oh, go ahead. He's always really good, but we have like chipmunks or something that keep running through the downspout, and so he went nuts because he can hear them.
So that's my segue to a question for you all as safety professionals in our current working environments. What, if anything, has prepared you for what we're dealing with at the mass scale, that affects from government policy levels to individual relationships within the workforce? That being, of course, our current pandemic situation. How have you? What's prepared you for that? And if nothing has prepared you for that, how have you adapted?
Sure. So we I know people think COVID's the first massive thing that's happened, but I feel like, and it is, on the scale, but like, I felt like since I've been here, there's been like 2 or 3 of these big, like, infectious disease outbreaks, especially being that we're public transit. A lot of people in a lot of different countries come into O'Hare and then they use our service. People from all over the world. We've had SARS. I know there was Ebola, and we've dealt with that a couple of times. Nothing obviously on the scale of this where we've had to shut down an entire world, but we kind of had an infectious disease plan and how to handle that. It was a federal mandate for us, so we've always kind of had that, how to handle it. And what we've really done is, luckily for me, is we've leaned on for the first time. I don't think anybody before this, maybe 10 people in the world, knew what an industrial hygienist was. But now I feel like everybody all of a sudden thinks you're the subject matter expert on COVID. So that's really been helped. So I've really leaned on a lot of the professional organizations, not just this one, but the American Industrial Hygiene Association. They've been a great resource. And then just the CDC has done a lot of, back in the beginning, a lot of calls. They were doing weekly, daily calls almost to update the professionals in the field. And we just kind of have been, like everybody, as the target has, moved on us almost weekly. Before it was daily. Now it seems like it's more like monthly. But we just try to stay updated with, the federal government, and, just, I can't stress enough, the meetings, teams, everything bad that it is. It's been great that I can get a group of professionals on at any given time and talk to them, whether they're at the city of Chicago, whether they're in DC, through these type of groups, you guys can all kind of come together and talk about things and see what's going on. So that's really helped us with our pandemic response and things like that.
Yeah, I'll take a stab. So I guess I got my master's in public health, so we spent a good semester or two, talking ad nauseum about pandemics and, the next one's around the corner. And sure enough, it was. So it's interesting to see all of these things play out in real time, that you learned about and thought that we were prepared for as a country, but we really weren't. But I think at the organizational level, similar to Todd, we're affected by the executive order as well. I know you're probably through something different, but we're a federal contractor, so we have some more stringent guidelines. Pre-ETS, because I know that's not out yet, but we've got stuff we have to follow that we may not always agree with, but it's something we have to do. And having those conversations is sometimes difficult with our employees because people are approaching this from all different angles. So that's been interesting and pretty tough to navigate, to be honest. But we were also relatively prepared as an organization because we did have our business resumption team already in place. We already do annual exercises. So we did have some of the items in place and ready to go. It's just, as Todd said, the goalposts have been moving very frequently. So it is tough to stay ahead. It is really kind of treading water, to be honest.
Yeah, I guess, and I have a smaller company perspective, so we definitely did not have anything specific in place for pandemic preparedness, and I bet you can believe we do now. But really, it was actually a really cool experience because, our ownership, our HR, safety, field representation, we were all able to kind of roundtable, on a weekly basis or monthly basis, whatever it took, because a lot of things were changing in the beginning. But we were able to roundtable and kind of, refer to the guidelines we've been given, refer to just our general knowledge, my general knowledge and safety and HR's background, and kind of develop all our plans and kind of, everything is kind of as it comes, we deal with it and kind of try to predict what's next. Obviously, we can't do that fully, but we kind of got a system now. Something new comes up. What do? We talk to owners, we get in our round table, and we kind of determine our next steps. So it's been really interesting, but I think my team has done a really great job over the past almost 2 years now. So
Okay. Does anyone else have questions? Yes, I agree. It's definitely some diverse responses. Be fascinating. All right. So I think that's pretty much it. I definitely, again, I want to thank our panelists for attending and participating in this event, as well as everyone that attended this event. I'm going to share one last thing, which is just place a focus on our next chapter event, which will be November 17th, presented by Salvatore Kelly. He's from the University of Illinois, Chicago. This will be an environmental topic. The actual title of it is still in the works, but it'll be on environmental topic focused on wastewater. So please be on the lookout for that. And again, follow us on our social media accounts and also our website as well. If you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to me. But thanks again for attending the event. Looking forward to seeing you. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you all.